So, this is, I guess, kind of my final record of who or what I am or was, or how I got here. And it's probably also a final screw you to my ex who got me here. This wasn't what I wanted or expected or dreamt of. But I don't get much of a choice anymore. I guess this started as a love story. Once upon a time, way back in high school, I met this girl. Her name is Tasha. I met her in high school, second or third day. I was in the lunch line, and there was a voice behind me asking me, "Excuse me, could you hand me that bottle of water?" So I grabbed the water and turned around, and I saw her, and I was like, holy shit. It's the most, beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life at that point. I was kind of stunned and speechless, and I just gave her the water, and she went off and paid for it, and my life is really my life changed from that point on. As the, days and weeks and months of high school went by, I'd run into her every so often, and I always wanted to talk to her, but I couldn't. She was way out of my league, and every time I'd run into her, I'd somehow get hurt. I fell downstairs a couple of times. I walked into lockers. I remember one time I ran into her in the library and was startled and scared, and I knocked over a stack of books in her presence and looked like an idiot and ran off. She never knew who I was back then, and at some point she had a boyfriend, whom she later married, actually. Life went on, I guess. I chased after other girls, and to varying degrees of success, and moved away, joined the Navy. She was always in the back of my head, though. I always wondered what she was doing, but there was no Facebook or any way to correspond long distance at the time. We're talking, 15 years ago. And then one day, I guess, 5 years ago, thereabouts, she appeared on my Facebook, as someone you might know or whatever. So I friend requested her, we got to talking, and a little bit here and there, mostly bullshit, mostly debating politics. But we got to where we were talking on a fairly regular basis. And at some point, my crush started redeveloping. I guess she started developing one. Who'd have thunk it? And then one night I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking about her. I lived in New York, and she lived in Virginia, and it wasn't realistic anyways. But I just shot her an email, and I confessed, hey, I've actually wanted you since I was like 15. I'm 31 years old now, but, And so we began. I'd come down for visits, and we fell in love, and it was awesome. It was amazing. She was amazing. I never met anybody or knew anybody like her, ever. And she had a daughter. She was a single mother when I met her. She had a little girl named Kenzie. And eventually one day I met Kenzie, and I fell in love with this girl. Kenzie was, I guess, just under 2 when I first came into their lives. And from the moment we got together, from the time we moved in together, I wasn't just Mommy's boyfriend, I became Kenzie's father. Prior to Kenzie, I didn't know about kids, I didn't like kids, I didn't have the patience for them, didn't know what to do with them. And knowing that I was dating a single mother scared the hell out of me, because I knew at some point I'd meet this kid, and I just hoped that I could get along with her enough to where her mother would still like me. I mean, I wasn't going to wrong Kenzie. I wasn't going to be cruel to her. I had just hoped that I could somehow make that relationship work. And I still remember the first time I ever saw Kenzie, and she transformed me right then and there. Remember, a couple days later, we were at the house. And it was time for Kenzie to go to bed. We were all sitting on the couch watching TV. It was time for Kenzie to go to bed, and she didn't want to go upstairs and go to bed. She wanted to stay down with us. So her mother let her. She laid down on her mother's lap and kind of dozed off to sleep. And we were sitting at one end of the couch, and I was sitting on the other, and Kenzie reached over and grabbed my arm and pulled me up into her to snuggle with her. And I freaked out at first in my head. I mean, I'm thinking, what's her mother thinking? What's Tasha thinking? I mean, here's this guy that doesn't even know her kid, and he's snuggling with her. I mean, on any other planet, strange men cuddling with your kids is kind of weird. But Kenzie wouldn't let me get away. I tried to pull away, and she'd pull me back. She became my best friend, my buddy, my daughter. There was no biology involved, but she was my daughter. I mean, that's what was stressed from the very beginning. Her parents, Tasha, her parents, everybody stressed I was the father. I was playing the father figure. I was doing the job. I loved her as a daughter. I supported them in any way I could. Maybe not enough, as it turned out, but I sure as hell gave them everything. And we had a family. For, I guess, 3 years, we were a family. I was the only father Kenzie knew. The plan was for Tasha and I to get married one day, and I always wanted to marry her. I wanted forever with her. I wanted to get old with her, have other kids, have grandkids, all that. She wanted all those things too. But I wanted to give her the right wedding, the right marriage. Not just the cheapest one I could afford, because pretty much that's all I could afford. I was working and trying to build a business to set us up for the rest of our lives. I loved them. And I thought I was happy. At least I knew I was happy, and Kenzie was happy, and I thought Tasha was happy. But at some point she stopped being happy. And she wouldn't tell me. I didn't know. I didn't see the signs. I worked all the time. We didn't work the same schedules. I took Sundays off, so we'd have a family day together every week, and God, I miss those family days. I lived for them. That was the highlight of my week, were those family days. But she stopped being happy at some point, and she didn't tell me what was wrong. She says she left me subtle hints. I'm not good at subtle, obviously. But I loved her. I'd have done anything for her, and even after everything, I'd still do anything for them. I loved her. I loved Tasha like I've never loved any other woman. I loved Kenzie like she was my own. If we were to have had 10 other kids, and someone were to ask me how many kids you had, I would say 11. And I'd list them all off, and I wouldn't have ever put an asterisk next to Kenzie's name. She's not really mine. None of that crap. She was mine. That's what I was always told. It's what I was fed from the beginning, was that we were a family. I wasn't just mommy's boyfriend, although officially, yeah, that's what I was, but we were a family. But she stopped being happy, and she didn't tell me what was wrong. And I didn't see it coming. And then one day she reconnected with an old friend. I don't know how long this old friend had been in the picture. I know they'd been family friends for years. I'd never heard of this guy. This guy here, Jamie Orbaugh, a real estate agent here in Stanton. And I don't know how friendly they were initially, but at some point they crossed the line. I know this because she confessed that part to me. I didn't see anything. I heard stuff. And she later confessed. Eventually, Tasha let me know she wasn't happy. And I asked her what was wrong, and she told me a couple of things. I mean, her biggest complaints that she initially told me was that I didn't make out with her enough, or I wasn't affectionate enough, or I didn't cuddle with her on the couch. And from the moment she told me something was wrong, I did everything I could to address those things. I was fanatical about just randomly making out with her and sitting next to her on the couch and trying to make her feel wanted and loved, because damn, she was the most important person. Her and Kenzie, the most important people in the world to me. Of course I loved them. Maybe I was in a lull with them, and I'm sorry. But I loved them. I don't know how not to love them. Even after all the misery and pain she's put me through in the past couple of months, I don't know how not to love them. I got so fanatical about trying to make her happy that she actually got annoyed about it. So eventually she broke up with me. I got frustrated because there was more problems that she was now telling me about that I didn't know about. And in my frustration, I got tired of hearing about him, and I got tired of being told to change. And it was a stupid thing for me to say. Of course I would have changed for her. Of course, I've already have changed for her in so many ways. But I was frustrated, and in my minute of frustration, she took that as an opportunity to get rid of me. And for the first week or two after the breakup, I was stunned. I was heartbroken. I didn't know what to say or what to do. She offered to want to talk a couple of times, and I couldn't get the words out. I tried. And so after a week or so, I asked her, when I finally was able to kind of talk to her, I asked her, have you told anybody about this? Because initially the agreement was we were going to keep things looking normal for the sake of Kenzie, for our daughter, so she wouldn't ask questions. And really the only change was I stopped sleeping in the same bed. I started sleeping in Kenzie's bed or on the couch. But I asked her, or she asked me, if I wanted to talk. And of course I wanted to talk. I couldn't get the words out of my mouth. But one day I finally texted her. I asked her, have you told anybody about us? And she was like, yeah, I've told my parents and my brother and her assistant and a couple of her friends. And she's going down the list of people she's told about us. And I'm thinking, I haven't told anybody about any of this. I'm thinking she must be serious about this whole not wanting me around thing. It was worse because the day before, we'd gone to her parents' house to pick up Kenzie to take her to a gymnastics class. And I'm sitting there on the couch next to Tasha, and I'm trying to act like everything's normal in front of her parents. And her parents already knew it was wrong. I looked like the biggest asshole in the world. Because everybody was in on the secret except for me. Eventually the time came where I just couldn't be there. She didn't want me there. I wasn't welcome there. I didn't feel welcome at home anymore. So that's when I moved out. And that's when we started fighting as a couple. As a couple, we'd never really fought before. Maybe 3 or 4 times. Nothing drag out, knock down. Just bickering occasionally. Very occasional. Like I said, maybe 3 or 4 times. 4 years together, we might have fought 4 times. We were always amazed at how well we meshed together, even though we were as different as we were. And that's when the fighting began. And it wasn't because I was wanting to fight with her. It's because I was wanting my family back. I was wanting to put things back together. I wanted to give our daughter her family back so she could have two loving parents in the same house. I wanted my daughter to learn that even when things are hard or tough, when you find that person you love, who you think is your person, who you think you're meant to be with, that you fight for them and you don't let them go just because you hit a snag. You know, we didn't break up because we've been fighting and bickering on and off. We couldn't get along. We didn't break up because we were beating each other up. We didn't break up because there was drugs or drinking or any of that crap. We broke up because we were in a lull, and I think that was it. I then found out about the other guy, Jamie. And that's when it occurred to me she wanted him more than me. She replaced me for him. And I don't know what they started out as, if it was just casual. I know he was in the picture before I was out of the picture. I know she cheated. And even knowing that she cheated and that she lied about it to me and that she had me manipulated to think it was my fault, to where I was begging her for forgiveness, I was tearing myself apart, going through hell, begging for forgiveness, wanting to fix things. I promised her anything under the sun to fix things because I wanted that for my daughter. I believe she's better than that she deserves better than two warring parents in two different houses being shuffled back and forth from. I fought so hard, harder than I've ever fought for anything in my life, and she shot it all down. None of it was good enough for her. And then I find out that she's gone around town spreading rumors about me. She's telling people, she's at least telling her brother and her parents, if no one else, that I'm stealing cars. I'm a car thief now. That my business is a fraud. I'm ripping people off. Things like that. I'm no angel, and yes, I have a past. But when Kenzie and Tasha came into my life, everything changed. And yeah, it's possible that, she didn't understand my business, and yeah, I have a lawsuit or whatever going on with my business. I mean, I was being sued for $1,500 over basically back rent, and she took that as I'm defrauding people and I'm stealing and I'm wanted and all this crap, and she's telling, at least her brother and her parents, who are then telling other people, running their mouths, because I have friends of mine who don't even know them, as far as I know, asking me if this is true. I mean, she destroyed my name and my reputation. Not that it's the greatest to start, I'll admit. I never claimed to be the good guy in anything. But with Tasha and Kenzie, I always tried to be the good guy. And I knew that she had done all this. That she had forced me from my home and my family. And because I was broken, I lost my job. I mean, how do you keep your job when you can't think about anything other than everything that you've lost? And my health's gone downhill. I mean, I'm diabetic to start, and now I'm severely diabetic, and I've been told I might only have months to live if I don't change things. I've lost everything because of Tasha. This asshole, Jamie, came along and he stole my family. He literally stole my family. He's going to her parents' home for Sunday supper now, and he's there to comfort her when she's upset. He's there playing daddy to what was my kid. He stole everything from me. And everything that I would want to do to fix it, to right the wrong, would be illegal. I can't just go kill this guy. I can't beat his ass. If I did, I'd be in trouble. I mean, that's against the law. It's not against the law to steal a person's family and destroy their life. It is against the law to get revenge, because I can't press charges on this guy. And besides, by now, my daughter has met this guy. I don't know if they've bonded or not. I don't know if Tasha's telling him, this is your new daddy. I don't know, but I don't want my daughter hurt. I don't want her asking, why is he all beat up or black and blue or whatever. Tasha is telling people she's supposedly afraid of me. She's admitted, and I have the texts and the emails to prove it, that it's irrational, but she's afraid of me. From the time I moved out, from the time I left the house, she was locking all the doors. She was locking the bedroom door, putting a chair under the bedroom door in case I broke in. She thinks I'm going to kick down the door and do God knows what. Grant you, I've never hurt her. I've never put a hand on her. I've never yelled at her. I've never threatened her. I've never insinuated a threat. I never said, hey, if you don't cooperate, bad things could happen to you. Wink, wink. I've never said any of this to my daughter. I've never exhibited violence around her. She has no reason to be afraid, yet she's telling everybody that I'm scaring her. She took my daughter out of my life. She won't let me have contact with Kenzie. I can't visit her. I can't see her. I can't talk to her on the phone. I can't text her. I can't FaceTime her. She had everyone thinking of some kind of crazy stalking ex. As soon as I heard that she was afraid of that, which broke my heart because I don't want her or my daughter to be afraid of me. I should be the one protecting them. I've never hurt them. I never would want them hurt. I've done everything I can to avoid them getting hurt. I've torn myself apart, hurting myself, trying to fix things for them. I would die for them. I would die for Tasha even now, after all the shit she's done to me. I just want them safe, happy, and protected. And she took Kenzie away. She took my daughter away. She took my heart away after she broke it. When I heard that she thought I was some kind of crazy stalker and that she was afraid, all I wanted to do was reassure her that there's nothing to be afraid of. And I talked to her and I hugged her, and that didn't work. She's still afraid. I left the state. I left Virginia. I'm in Florida now. And she's still afraid of me. I mean, what kind of stalker leaves the state? What kind of stalker moves away? It's not like I have people back home that are spying on my behalf. I don't have anyone that I could ask that for. I wish I could. She was supposed to send my mail. She had agreed to that. You know, I needed another copy of my driver's license sent to me. She promised that when I got to the house that she would forward it to me in Florida. I waited a few weeks and nothing came. I tried contacting her, even though she's blocked me on every email, Facebook. Her phone number's been changed, everything. She's really desperate to keep me from ever finding her. I did everything I could to get a hold of her to say, have you sent my mail? Have you seen it? Anything? And I got no response. Out of desperation, I came back to Virginia last weekend to find her, to talk to her. And I couldn't get a hold of her. She wouldn't answer any calls or emails. So just as a peace offering, as an act of love. Well, no, and I know her Sunday routine. I knew she was in church in the morning. So while she was in church, and I know she'd freak out if I just walked up and knocked on the door. So while she was in church, I went to Starbucks and I got her coffee and I got her the croissant she likes, and I went and I got donut holes for Kenzie, and I got her a little stuffed animal, and I placed them on the porch with a note, just nicely asking, I'm in town for a couple days to take care of some things. I'd like to talk to you if we can, or call me if you can, please. Nothing mean, harassing, haranguing, threatening, nothing at all. I just want to know where my mail was. And maybe if I was lucky, I have a chance to talk to her about her letting me see Kenzie at some point. I've sent money. I've sent child support. She won't cash the checks. She saw all these things, and she freaked out. She somehow got a hold of the police, and she's got a restraining order against me. And on the order, it says she feels, or she's afraid of what I might do to her or her daughter, and that I'm no longer Kenzie's father. How do you do that to somebody? How do you anoint somebody as the father and then say they can't be the father anymore? I'm no expert here, but last time I checked, that's a lifetime title. It's what I wanted for Kenzie. I didn't want to be her father until she turned 18 or unless she was inconvenient for me. I wanted to be her father for the rest of my life. I wanted us to have a family, to be a family. And Tasha took that away from me. Tasha Berry took that away from me. And now I have nothing. I mean, I've lost everything I can imagine. Right down to where I'm losing my sanity. I've never realized or thought this kind of heartbreak was possible. In my mind, it's like I've lost a spouse and a child to death. This guy stole my family. This guy, Jamie, he stole my family. And he gets all the benefits that come with that. He gets to go to the house. He gets to have sex with her. He gets to play with my kid. They can have family days together. They can do everything that we used to do. She replaced me with this guy. She accused me. Well, she thinks this is my fault. I mean, she never told me what the problems were. She talked to a friend of mine for a couple weeks via text or email who was trying to intercede on my behalf. And she told him more in a week than she told me in 6 months as far as what was wrong. And none of it was like serious stuff that couldn't have been fixed. I offered her anything and everything to fix this. I offered her my soul. I offered to marry her right then and there. Nothing. My pleas weren't good enough for her. But what hurts the most, yeah, she screwed me over. She destroyed me. But I'm nothing at the end of the day. But she took a little girl's father away. She took a little girl's father away. I mean, my daughter, I mean, you know, in life, you get screwed over. It's just the way it goes sometimes. But my daughter, for her, the first person in her life to really screw her over was her mother. And she goes to church, and she says she has this newfound faith and all this crap. But where's the... I mean, if I did anything wrong, and I don't know. I mean, I think the worst I did is I was complacent. I took her for granted. Maybe we were in a lull. I never certainly hurt her, not intentionally. I never intentionally wronged her. I mean, I think the worst I ever did was, like I said, just that. I took her for granted. But I've never hurt her. I've never woken up and said, hey, you know, I feel like hurting her today. But she did that multiple times. I'd beg her to stop, and she would cry, oh, this is so sad, and oh, this is so sad, and, you know, I broke you and all that. But she wouldn't do anything to fix it. I mean, she made the mess, but she wouldn't own up to it. I offered her everything. And I knew at some point, I mean, she didn't do it immediately after the breakup, but I knew at some point she would try to take Kenzie away. She would say it's in our daughter's best interest not to be around me or something. I knew she would pull this. Eventually, she decided she didn't want me to see Kenzie anymore. So I asked her for one last time to say goodbye to her. I knew Kenzie would be asking, you know, where's Daddy at? Where's he at? And the people she'd be asking, her mother, her grandparents, her uncle, I can't imagine any of them would have had nice answers as to why I'm gone. It would be things like, he doesn't love you anymore, he's an asshole, you know, he left you, whatever. So I wanted to give her one last memory of me telling her that I loved her, and that I needed her, and that I was sorry that I couldn't be there for her, that I've been trying all along. Tasha agreed to that. And I told Tasha this doesn't have to be goodbye, it could just be a visit. I want it to be just a visit. She wouldn't go along with that. She wanted me gone. She didn't like the fact that she was giving me the goodbye. She'd rather I just disappeared. But I wanted my daughter to have one last memory of me telling her I loved her, and if I had to be out of her life, I wanted her to hear it from me, at least from me first. And so we met, and we met at the mall, the play area at the mall. And we played, we had fun, and we took pictures, and she was having the time of her life, and I'm trying to keep it together for her and have fun with her. And her mother's just sitting there on her phone watching, texting, whatever she was doing, probably texting her boyfriend. And I'm trying to keep it together for her. And then, you know, by this point it had been maybe 6 weeks after we'd broken up, and I could see the differences in Kenzie and her attitude and behavior. She wasn't the same kid that she was when I moved out of the house. I don't know how to describe it, but she was just, her attitude, she was snarky, and I can't describe it. But we were playing and we were having fun. And then it got to where I was talking to her, Tasha again. I was like, this doesn't have to be goodbye. Please don't make this be a goodbye. And she wouldn't cooperate. She wouldn't give me that little bit of hope that Kenzie could be in my life, that we could be a family again. She just had to have me gone. So we sat down to talk to Kenzie. And, you know, I sat down and Kenzie sat between, you know, Tasha and I, and I was talking to her and I was telling her, you know, you realize I haven't been living in the house for a while now. And she said, I know. And I told her, I can't ever live in the house again. And she's like, I know, Mommy told me. And I told her, you know, I love you more than anything, and you're my best friend in the world, and I wish more than anything I could be with you all day, every day, non-stop. But I can't. And she took it pretty well, you know. I was grateful for that much. And I told her, but I don't think I can ever. And then I'd stop. I couldn't get the words out. And she would finish the sentence for me, and she'd say, come home. And I was like, no, buddy, I can't come home. I don't think I can ever again. And I would stop. And again, she would ask, come home. But this point, I'm starting to break down. And I was like, no, buddy, I don't think I can ever. And it was the third time she asked to come home. And I told her, I don't think I can be your father anymore. I can't see you anymore. Ever again. I don't think. And by this point, I'm breaking down. I'm crying in front of her. And I see tears in her eyes. And that broke my heart even more. As if saying goodbye to your kid in itself isn't a heartbreaking thing. And she's crying in my arms. And her mother's just texting on the phone like she doesn't give a damn. And I'm trying to reassure her as best I can that she's still loved. She has her mother, and she has her Uncle Will, and she has her grandparents, and she has her cat, and we're crying in each other's arms. And I'm knowing I'm never gonna see this kid again. And all I wanted to do was take it back and fix it. And I was hoping that her mother would see the pain that the two of us were in, and she would at least soften her heart, change her mind, something, and say, okay, let's fix this somehow. If not for my sake, because she doesn't give a shit about me, then for Kenzie's sake, so Kenzie doesn't have to be hurt. Instead, she just got annoyed with me, fed up with me, mad at me, and she said, I hope you're happy. I hope this is what you wanted. She picked up Kenzie and took her away, and I just wanted to yell back at her, you know, no, bitch, this is what you wanted, because I've been trying for the past couple months to fix all of this, to change this, to put us back together as a family, to anything, and you've been fighting it the whole friggin' time. I've offered you anything and everything. Even that other asshole Jamie, you could have had him too if you wanted. What kind of sick thought is that? Her last memory of me is her mother taking her away from me. And that was my last time I ever saw her. That was the last time I saw her, and that was 28 days ago. For Valentine's Day, I sent cards to them, because it's what we always did, in the hopes that, again, as an olive branch, so that Tasha and I could learn to be friends, so I could somehow be in Kenzie's life. I sent cards to them and chocolates for them, and a note for Tasha saying, you know, for whatever I did wrong, I'm sorry. I don't completely know what I did, but obviously I must have done plenty of shit wrong, because she hates my guts. And to my knowledge, she didn't see him, read him, accept him. Kenzie never got anything. You know, when I was back home last week, I gave her a set of stuffed animal for my daughter, and a card for her, and some candy or some donut holes and coffee for Tasha, and that got a restraining order pulled on me. I don't know what else to do. I've lost everything. I can't think straight. I can't work. I can't function. Every thought in my head is that I've lost my kid and I can't get her back. Other thought behind that is I just wanted to fix things in my family. I hate Tasha for all the pain and misery she's put me through, but in some stupid level, I still love her. If I were to get a call tomorrow saying she was hit by a car and in the hospital, I don't have the money, but I'd race and find my way there to be by her side somehow. Even though she wouldn't want me there, I still care about her. It sickens me that in a world where so many fathers don't want to be the father, they absolve themselves of the responsibility, they duck out, whatever the hell they do. I'm the guy trying to do it right. It's not even, as everyone likes to point out, she's not even my kid. I'm not her biological father. I'm nothing. And I'm doing everything I can, as desperately as I can, to be in her life, to be a father, to be there for her, to raise her, to love her. And I've been demonized by her family and her friends, her church, her preacher. Everybody demonizes me because I'm doing the wrong thing here. I'm told I should let her go. Go find a new family. Find another woman one day and have a kid with her, because everyone knows having a family is like going shopping at Walmart. Just go down the aisle and there they are.